Did that light make it darker?
No, it's almost, it's kind
The
of
same.
Yeah, I don't know. What's up, Facebook family?
Yeah, let me
What's
hook us up.
you know what I'm saying? What's good? Oh, I gotta tag the bishop.
It just popped up though.
I done became a derelict in my duty.
I got it right here.
Let me tag the bishop in this thing. I always forget to do that, man. I'm a terrible host. Or this camera is. Let's see. There we go. Tag the queen of Charity Apostolic herself. I should put it that we're in Tanzania, Africa.
Where do you normally put it?
Just whatever it defaults to. Beaumont, Texas, I think. Hey, the bishop's watching. I know that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But man, what's going on, everybody in Facebook land? The bishop and I have been a little, yeah, man. We've been gone, and
been a lot happening too.
Yeah, man, there's so much going on, and so just kind of first, I guess, not as an apology, I guess, but just consistency matters when you're doing things and when people are
right.
When you're building relationships with people. So, what's going on, Miss Tasha? What's up, Tom? Right on, man. So it's just been a lot going on. Let's start as we usually do without getting. One thing I never forget is to tell the world how, for me, man, I love getting a chance to hang with you. I love what you bring to the space. I love your courage, the way you speak about the issues, the fact that you speak about the issues is always really encouraging to me, man. And I appreciate your voice in ministry, just in general, man, just all around, man. You are a brother that I have grown to really appreciate over the years. Most people probably hear us say it all the time. We met in Philadelphia. We was roommates. I'm like,
who's this brother?
I showed up in Philly. I came in the room and you're going to be staying with Bishop Bowser. And I show in the room, this big old brother, like, how you doing, yo, man? I'm about to go to the gym. I was like, I called down to
He's
the front
exaggerating.
Desk. I came down to the front desk like, I think I need to go somewhere else. It felt like I was walking into myself. What's up, Lamar? Anyway, man, just real cool, man. I really appreciate you, bro. And you're just my guy, bro, and much appreciated, man.
Likewise, man. I feel the same way. And always when I think about you, I always think, I say, he's a real one. They say I'm a real one. He's a real one. And I the thing I really appreciate about you is that not only do you talk the talk, but you walk the walk, and that's very important. It's also very important if we're going to be allies that we support each other. You know what I mean? And you're one that demonstrates it by supporting, what we do. And so that says a whole lot. You've been doing that for just, every time for the past couple of years or whatever, every time I have a meeting or some kind of community thing going on or whatever, you show up, and whether if you participate, you got to be there. But if you're not, you're still there in support and you're there. And that says a lot, because a lot of times people invite you to their things and want you to come, but they never come to your events. And you do support. And I really appreciate your principles that you have, because we share same kind of principles, and so when you post something or say something, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm with that. Every now and then you get yourself in hot water with other people, but
man, oh well, you know what I'm saying? Oh well.
I said, oh, Peter, Peter stepped into one here. They on you. But I have to come in and let you know I got your back. I agree, correct.
I appreciate that, man. What's up, April? Hey, what's going on, Alonzo? Yeah, that's real, man. What's up, man? Hey, I want to talk about. Don't forget to talk about Alonzo's video. I shared that Joker, and I
haven't seen it.
I'm gonna let you see. I'll turn you on to it. It's legit. And then we always talk about. I always try to at least wear a shirt that supports something that I support, and this is my my Howard University dance shirt.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My daughter's at the Howard University. We just went there. We left Friday night. She had 4 big old bags. The girl only left with 2. She came home with 2 and left with 4. I was like,
she's
what
smart.
happened?
She learned some stuff, you know. She's like, hey, I need, yeah.
She was packing, and there was just all these big suitcases kept coming out of her room. I'm like, what are we doing with these? And, so we hopped on a red eye Friday night, flew through Detroit, and then went to DC, and it was good, man. She got to move into the big girl dorms now. You know, she's a sophomore now, doing her thug dizzle, and so it was just good, man. It was really cool. Really happy that, and I stayed 5-6 hours and then came back. So I had a long day, brother. I've been asleep all day today. All day. I came back last night, man, and went to some friend's house. My buddy had a housewarming. Some brothers that we used to go to church together, so we just went and hung out and
cool,
bruh. Anyway, so anyway, man, just happy to be back. I was in Atlanta last weekend, man. There was so many black people in Atlanta, bro. I didn't know what to do with myself. Man, I keep telling people it's like I died and ended up in Wakanda. I was like, everybody and everything was black. It was a real trip, and it really lets me know. It makes it obvious how the lack of, you know, having 52, going from 52 or going from 5% where we live now currently to 52% in Atlanta. I was like, wow. I mean, it makes a difference, brother. It is like everywhere you go, it's like, you know, it's really, really, and then to be in DC yesterday at Howard University with historically black college and university or whatever, a real, like, man, brother, it was just the black excellence and the legacy of blackness is amazing. What's up, Joaquin?
Yeah,
how you doing, brother?
My baby boy a couple years ago moved to Atlanta. He's back home now, but he had moved to Atlanta, you know, and went up there. No, the baby and James, my baby son James, and he went to Atlanta. I can't remember who he went up there with. He knew somebody or somebody that went up there, but he got a job and was doing well. Right. One of the things that he told me that he liked about Atlanta is that the kindness of the people. And he said that, especially young lady, because he's a young man, and I think he was single back then. He's not single now, I don't think, but he was single back then. And he was talking about how the sisters, how nice they were, you know, because, you know, they didn't act stuck up, you know, they would have a conversation, they'll speak, and
that's because the women is outnumbered. Or no, the women outnumber the men.
Oh, so maybe that might be it.
I don't want to get all into
but all I know is that there is a difference between here and there, and I don't want to start nothing, but I'll tell you, man, you can't stereotype, put anybody all in the same bag, but just in my overall experience, you know, like our sisters here have to learn to, when they're dealing with a brother, understand that the brother's not always trying to get with you. And I think sometimes they have an attitude like that. So sometimes you might be walking down the street, you try to make eye contact when they don't want to look in the eye, they don't want to speak to you. They just go on like, okay, I'm just trying to make contact, speak. That's all. You hold the door open for them. They walk by, won't say thank you.
We don't have the kind of culture here that allows for that. We don't have the kind of culture that's in the South. That's one of the things I love about the South. I mean, even the racists down there say hello. You know, we gonna hang you when we done. But how you doing today? You know what I'm saying? Like,
if he's an end, he's my end, huh?
Yeah.
We all,
Excuse me. I'm confused, but you know, I try to, you know, I made it a point in the last couple of years, man. I have made it an absolute point that when I see a brother or sister, especially in the climate that we in today,
exactly,
I ain't gonna walk past somebody, a brother, and not be, hey, how you doing, brother? Hey, Queen. I called a lady. One lady said, that's not my name. I was like, I know. I just wanted to acknowledge you, and I acknowledge your presence in the world. You know,
me and my wife, I don't want to say we did an experiment, but you know, she did experience it, because I told her, I was sharing with her about, you know, like when you're walking out, because black men have that hard struggle experience. Wherever we see each other, when we see each other somewhere, we make that eye contact with, hey, how you doing? We do that little nod, how you doing, bro? And we keep on going and so on. And I was telling my wife that, because she's like, well, you know, I see sisters, they seem like they have an attitude, don't want to speak, you roll their eyes at you, things like that. And I said, well, no, it's not like that with most of the brothers, especially, you know, you find an average brother that's, you know, not mad at the world, but, you know, the average brothers we run across, you know, everybody got some issues. Most of the time they're gonna speak, or at least they're gonna look at you, make eye contact, and say, hey, how you doing, bro? You know, because we there's a connection that we have. We know that we in the struggle together one way or another. And she saw that. She saw how, you know, if I'm a black man, walk to see another black man, we walk down, even we just nod at each other and keep going. There's a connection. But with the sister, she said that's at least her experience. has not been that way. You know, they seem to have an attitude, seem to roll their eyes at you, and all that other kind of stuff. So we got to work on that.
Well, and I agree. I don't know that I don't know if I've seen it or not. I can't. If that's what you saw, that's what you saw. I don't know either way. But one of the things I do know is that there's something happening in San Diego in the Black community that I really love to see. And let's just kick it off with that, man. Just kind of from just a perspective.
If I can just say one more thing.
Of course you can.
Because I don't want people to think I'm just making a blanket statement. That's my experience in San Diego. But when I went to Baltimore, and I walked the streets down there.
Baltimore. It's Baltimore. It's not Baltimore. It's Baltimore. You got to say it.
And maybe
that way you don't get your walk.
Maybe it's the area that I was in or what. But when I was walking and I was seeing brothers, they wouldn't have it. They wouldn't speak in, keep walking, had attitude.
Everything's fast paced on the East Coast.
But I think I ran into a sister and I was like, I said, I was asking her what was going on. I was telling her what I was going through with the brothers and stuff. What's going on? Is that the way it is here or what? She said, yeah, they hate on each other here. Man, so you have different cultures, different places where you have some of the things happening.
A lot of that, when you look at the oppression that happens in certain spaces, and when people are having to fight for resources, when people are having to do whatever they got, do whatever they can. To try to stay relevant. And, we've created this culture. And one of the things we'll talk about today, I think hopefully we get to is this thing with Jay-Z that's going on with the team and all that. And why we just support it blanketly. There's a certain something that happens. I think when we're fighting to be relevant culturally, we take folks that just got money and we just go, just because you got money, we give you a pass to do whatever. So I think it plays itself out in, just even in the way we deal with one another and stuff. And I think a lot of it is subconsciously. I think we've been trained to hate each other. We've been conditioned to hate each other. Yeah. And so, but I think something is happening here in San Diego. And I've been in San Diego since 1986. So I've been here for over 30 years and 33 years. And I've never seen a push, I guess, to really rally the Black community to come together and to be a support to one another. So I really see some beauty happening. I think within that, the struggle is always, the negative stuff is always going to be promoted because that's what we're used to. And there's some people who don't want it to happen. There's even some people that we have even in our community or whatever. Some of the old that consider themselves gatekeepers.
What is a gatekeeper?
Somebody that's in our condition, and a gatekeeper is somebody who makes sure that only the people that need to come in. A gatekeeper is like a watchman, a person that says, "Oh no, you're not good for the cause."
Who assigned them as gatekeepers?
It just, I don't know who assigns them, but those. So I think for us, the dominant culture assigns people that will continue their agenda.
Right.
So what has happened is we have got some of these folks that are fighting for grant money and stuff like that. Yeah. And so they are assigned by the dominant culture to keep people who want to make change out. Yeah. And so I preached at St. Stephen's one time that we have a whole bunch of young people that want to stand up and lead, but we got a whole bunch of old people that won't sit down. And I was telling somebody the other day, man, I'm coming up on 50 years old. I don't have the time or the energy to start something new to try. It's too late for me to be relevant, bro. It's too late, and I don't even care.
Keep the eyes on the prize.
Yes, and so what I'm looking at now is I'm saying, man, we got brothers out here like Alonzo Harvey. We got there's other young people out here that are organizing, that are making moves, that are trying to do different things. Young Anthony that's out here trying to promote a move, Stay Woke Anthony Hawkins, and young Joaquin's running for Congress. We got a bunch of young people that are stepping up, trying to take over the reins, but these old gatekeepers aren't letting them in. And what happens is you start blocking some of the people that have resources from being able to fund some of the things that these folks are doing. And the dominant culture knows all I got to do is go to the person that we've given this last $2,000 to. You know what I'm saying? And that's what they do.
That much money.
Come on, man. We ain't talking millions, bro. We got dudes selling out to community for $3,000. So, and they like, man, we ain't even got, and those people are shutting things down. And so we have to, and so for me, I feel like as an older person I need to let these 20 and 30 somethings, I need to take the resources that I have and empower these young people to be able to do the things that are necessary, to do the relevant things or whatever. And I've never been a gatekeeper, but I do have resources and I know people and I have lots of relationships. So my job is to connect these young people with the other folks and to validate them in front of the folks that have these resources, because they trust me to say, hey, give this brother a chance. But then on the back end, I think we have to make sure that the folks that we're promoting actually have the strength to be able to continue on the thing that they say.
I agree. I agree with you. My only thing is that, you know, when I was looking at it today, when you look at our millennials and even those is younger and those a little bit older and so on, I think the thing that we have to keep on the forefront, at least for me, is God, right? Yahweh. And sometimes that's missing. Sometimes folks are going into Black spirituality, all the different things. That's fine, whatever you want to do. But if I'm going to be involved, I roll differently, right? Because, you know, I have a different set of morals and belief when it comes to what I'm going to do. You know, when I handle something, you know, I'm not going to be one of those that's going to handle it through violence and different things like that. I'm a man of peace. I'm a man of love. I'm a man of forgiveness. I have issues. You know, I got to repent a lot of times of things that I do and say and so on. Like, I have to ask myself, man, why did you say that? Why did you do that? And but my values and my principles keep me in check. You know what I mean? So if I got a conscience, I can go home and think about what I've done is wrong. You know, I want to be a good example, you know, a moral example to folks. And I think our younger generation, you know, if you're going to fall into leadership, who mentored you, who groomed you for that? You know, good followers make good leaders, right? And sometimes what we have a lot of times is our younger generation just want to jump in leadership, you know, and that's fine. You know, start where you are, but then start educating yourself, start developing yourself to where you can mature to a level to where that you truly can lead. You know what I mean? At least if you're going to bring us all together. I mean, if you just want a certain kind of folks following you, then you know you'll have that following. But to have real impact, I think you need God. We got to keep God in the center of it. And so many times we leave God out of everything. You know what I mean? And it's become acceptable, right? To do that. So with me, I don't roll like that. You know, for me, God comes first in everything that I do. That's my principles and so on. I love everybody, and I roll people. When I'm rolling because of God. And sometimes people tend to forget that. But I gotta keep reminding folks and keep it out front that, you know, this for me, this is ministry and this is a call and this is about the Lord. And I know this is where the Lord wants me to be. And that's why I'm here. Otherwise, if it wasn't for God, I'll be a Jay-Z or Al Sharpton, whatever. It'd be about money, right? It'll be about me and doing what I need to do. Right. You know, I turned down a lot of stuff just to be where I am. I know I could be where with these folks, you know, I know how to hustle and lie and connive and manipulate and get what I want, but I'm not about that.
Well,
you know?
See, but here, so one of the things
I don't want nobody to owe me. You don't own me.
Well,
you know?
Well, here, so
I'm a free Black man.
No, I get, for real, I get it. There are two things I wanted to bring up as far as young leadership, and I talked about Alonzo Harvey, but I wanted to say, you know, mentorship. One of the things I think is for me as a older, and I guess I'm the older. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I'm meeting youngsters like I'm old enough to be your grandfather for some of these folks in leadership. Man, it's crazy. I'm getting old, man. It's crazy, but we should have people that are in our pipeline. I think it's an indictment on older folks that we don't have anybody that we mentor.
Absolutely.
And so I think we have these folks coming up that have never been mentored, and we wait until they get a spotlight before we come in and start criticizing. It's like, where was you at a while ago when I was asking for help? Wasn't nobody there? And so I think, and so one of the things I think when we look at or
going to the wrong people for help.
That's true.
That's been my experience is I've been seeing folks is like, you know, you want to help people, mentor people, and group people. If you want to sit down and listen and follow instructions, then I can help you. But a lot of times they go to the wrong people. And they don't realize that they're the wrong people because they're the most popular people. You know what I mean? They're the ones that seem like they're going places, doing things.
But those are the ones that are what we would consider the gatekeepers. And it's like I look at like Tasha, right? Tasha's running for mayor right now. Tasha's gonna be the mayor. She's raising all type of.
You speaking it,
man, she's raising Cain in San Diego right now, bro. And here's the thing: Tasha's not playing nasty. Tasha's not playing the games that everybody. Tasha has stayed the way she has been ever since I met her, from the day that and so when I look at who has come alongside Tasha and says, sis, we see you doing something that has never been done before. You're the first Black woman ever in San Diego to run for mayor. And we want to come alongside you. We see that you've been principled. You've never been about money. She lives in poverty. You ain't never been about money. She's never sold out because of the money ever. And my thing is, like, instead of the older folks coming and saying, we see you and we see what you're about. And we want to walk with you and make you right. You ain't never been about the money. They don't do that.
They failed
They
her.
hate her and they failed her. And now that they see she's raising Cain, now that they see that she's winning some of these,
especially people that understand politics and can jump in there and really like take it to the next level.
That's why for me, I'm
You're
rolling,
right about that.
I'm rolling with the young folks on this. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't
know politics, so I ain't nothing I can do but give some money.
But here's the thing. We don't have. I don't even think we have to.
And I'm tired of it too. Far as knocking on doors, and say, hey, I'll write a check, whatever I got. But that's about it. That's
fine. Support is supported. So my thing is, like, man, we gotta. There have been clubs that have dissed Tasha.
Well, I'm not Democrat, so I couldn't go to none of stuff anyway.
They dog her out. They do think and
I guess she to really to be considered a serious runner, she would have to say Democrat. She couldn't go independent. And
she could go independent.
Shake things up that way.
My thing is this. Here's my thing: is that I think that I think the Democratic Party is autonomous enough. There's really no set standard. You can pretty much do whatever you want to do in the Democratic Party. I mean, they're showing that now. Like, Democrats ain't what they really showing is in San Diego is that they Republicans. That's really what you're really starting to show, that they Republicans. But
somewhat.
But I'm just saying, like, so they don't
on the racist side there,
and on the being unfair and being stupid and not being consistent. But so I'm just, my whole thing, I guess, to stay on course with what my point was, is that, you know, we got folks that are really doing some great things in San Diego. And Tasha's one of them, killing it out there in the game. I went last weekend or the weekend before last to watch her speak, and definitely can hold her own. And it's because Tasha believes really what she believes. She doesn't have a canned speech and something that she's going to say. But another person that I see that is doing really well is Alonzo. I'm talking about something I saw in him that I thought was really amazing. Number one, shout out to Dwayne and Kelly, his parents. That brother, man, I tell you right now, they call themselves the Harvey Boys. I just want to say, man, shout out to that Black family right there, bro. You know, man, them is high school sweethearts right there, bro.
I know. You told me.
Man, brother, I got so much respect. We call, we call him the deacon. I'm gonna start calling him Bishop just on GP, but he's a deacon, and just a phenomenal family. And Alonzo rode up on some young dude, 15-year-old young man that was pulled over by the police. Okay.
Oh, that's the one that you said on the video.
Yeah, man. Okay. And his whole thing was, and he got frustrated, and he admitted that. But what he was doing was right. The principle of what he was doing was right. And his thing was, why are y'all questioning this young man? And his mama's not even here. What are you doing? Like, and he had.
But they can do that. You know that, right? It's legal, lawful for them to do that.
To do what?
Question a kid that's under 18.
But the things but if he's not under arrest, he don't have to speak though.
Oh, yeah.
They know that, and see, a lot of us don't know those type of things. And what happens in our community, and this is the part that I don't think they understand. People can get in trouble for talking to the police in our community. You know what I mean? Just because people are like, wait, what? And if they're asking about stuff the young man don't even know about, like, what are you talking about? But my point is, regardless, Alonzo was saying, man, don't say nothing, man. Stop talking, man, because anything and everything, that's the one thing people need to realize. Whatever you say to the police can and will be used against you, man. And not just in the court of law, but on the streets. And people start assuming you doing stuff and saying stuff. And so his thing was, be quiet and stop talking to these guys about this stuff, man. And he was saying, you guys would never do that stuff to me. Like, do it to me, man. And so and he went off. But the thing that I number one, I love the fact that there's accountability that's happening in the community. But the thing I really thought was really neat, man, and I reposted his, he made an apology video. He didn't apologize for what he said. He didn't do that because he meant what he said, and he should have, and kudos to him. But his thing was for the way he said it. And he said, I want to be a better example of we still need to do this. And I'll repost the video again so folks that didn't get a chance to see it. But I just want to say, man, shout out to Zoe for being Alonzo.
Oh, okay.
Harvey,
Okay.
for being a stand-up man and for, you know, it's one thing to be wrong, but if you don't have the ability to admit that you're wrong and to come back and say, well, I think I made a mistake here, or here's kind of what I just say, man, I thanked him and still thank him for being a stand-up man like that. Okay. So good looking out, man. And for me, like, those are the types of we have raw leadership here in San Diego that has influence in the streets and influence with the folks. And I think the more we can bring the younger generation up and give them opportunities to lead in certain spaces or whatever, I think that we should do that. And it's about taking a risk. He may not lead the way that somebody else may lead, but we got to think, man, if you're in your 50s, if you're in your 50s and somebody's in their 30s, they're not going to lead the same way you do, because you have 20 more years. If you're still leading in your 50s like you did in your 30s, you need to sit down too. Right. And so I think we have to take what we would consider a risk. And it's one of the things that we don't even think about when we think about the dominant culture. We think about the dominant culture. We don't even think about allowing them to come in without any kind of, we just allow them to make certain mistakes and do certain things that we wouldn't allow somebody else to do. And so I just want to say shout out to the youngsters that's out there leading. Let's see what they.
I'll just say, let me just reiterate my point on this, is that with all our youngsters, and include my kids too, is that, we got to keep God in the forefront. If you say you got God, then act like it, live like it. You know what I mean? And if you're going to lead, you can't lead. I'm willing to follow youngsters, but where you lead me, where you taking me to. And so my thing is where we're going with this, because I'm not going anywhere with you. And you got to have be on the right mission. If I'm gonna go with you and if I'm gonna follow you. Now, if you want to lead and just lead the youngsters, then that's fine, and if I can offer any support to that, I'll do that. But my emphasis is that for me, people can hate me if they want, but it's about God, it's about Yahweh, it's about the Lord Jesus Christ, who you say, or Yahshua Messiah. That's what it's about with me, because at the end of the day, we in a corrupt system, a corrupt world that is soon going to be done away with. And we're stuck on the temporary things and not thinking about eternity, not preparing ourselves to be ready when the Lord comes and to deal with this crooked system that's satanic and demonic. And no matter what you try to do, it's going to remain that way. There's things we should do and be involved in. That's why we're going up Sacramento tomorrow, things like that. I agree with Martin Luther King when he said, you can't, we can't legislate righteousness and holiness, but you most definitely can change laws to control that behavior, right? So we tired them killing us, so police killing us. So we wanted some laws in there that's going to control that or hold them accountable to that. So there has to be accountability in this world, and we have a responsibility as a society to continue on. Jesus said, "Occupy until I come," and so we most definitely want to continue to live and do the things that human beings are supposed to do on this earth, in loving and treating each other right.
I think that there's something to be said too about me as a Christian. Part of discipleship and introducing God to folks is our ability. It's mentorship. Discipleship and mentorship are the same thing. So I think if we truly, I think our vision or our theology, what we believe about God, is going to lead in the way that we take people on. So it's okay for me to be around people that don't believe what I believe and to serve them. I'm always around them. Yes. And because I believe that somehow, hopefully by the grace of God, through teaching and time,
be an example. Sometimes you have to say nothing, just be an example. And
people will change. And I think all too often we hold these fake standards. That's the hypocrisy in our standards. Like we want to hold everybody to this stuff, but then we see pastors right here in the community that's trashing our community and won't say nothing to them. We'd rather jump on somebody that's out here talking loud and we'll silence that person, but then we'll go right over here to this church where we know that this pastor's getting money from the government to support it, to try to keep everybody quiet, and we support it. So my thing is, don't be hypocritical in your man. Don't be hypocritical in your Christianity, bro. Stop it. Not you, but I'm talking about
you're talking to a lot of people.
And so what? And oh well, man. So what?
Because that's real. That's real, man. That's real. That's real, man. That is real, bro.
Don't tell, man. I can't stand that type of stuff.
I see it all the time.
We let these folks come out here, bro, and pimp and pander in our community and do this type of stuff.
And we support them.
We absolutely.
I shouldn't say we as us, but as
we part
community.
of the community,
Yeah.
bro. It is what it is. So and I'm like, man, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it. And so
Absolutely.
we need to start calling these folks out and shutting them down. That's all there is to it, bro. And so and there's something about when we don't do that. And we got to be willing. We got to be willing to be real. So let's look and see what's being said on him. There's a lot of, man, y'all in here just getting busy today, man. Holy cow. Yeah, they in here saying all the time. Lonzo Lonzo said that Atlanta's a modern day Africa. Absolutely. Joaquin says we're here. April says, talk about how we overlook toxicity in the community because we so-called protect. And I think for the sake of, I think an example of us overlooking toxicity is when we let these pastors say and do things.
What do you mean by toxicity?
Toxicity is toxic. So there's certain, from a chemical standpoint, certain things that are okay at a certain level, but once you increase that level, it becomes toxic to your body and it becomes dangerous and starts doing certain things. And so there's a certain amount of tension or certain amount of whatever that's going to be in the community that is okay. The communities have to thrive with it. It gives us energy to fight against certain things. I mean, there's nothing wrong with having things wrong, but when we have too much of something wrong, and so what I would imagine she's talking about, we overlook things that are injecting poison into our system at toxic levels that's killing certain things, and we don't say nothing about this person that's injecting this toxin into the system. We're not saying nothing because, oh, this is so-and-so's granddaddy, or this is so-and-so. I don't care who you are. If you are not right, you are not right. And so that's, I think, what she's talking about. Stop ignoring people that are injecting poison at toxic levels. That's killing something. And you go. So
that includes men and women.
It includes everybody. It don't matter who it is. And so I think that's what she's talking about.
Okay.
Lonzo says black-owned businesses. Man, what do you want? You got anything you want to? What is your feeling about black-owned businesses?
As far as what?
Just in general. He says black-owned. So there's no real context to it, and sometimes people post these things at a timestamp in the conversation, so it could have been at any point. But so I don't know the context, but I could just.
We need them. I mean, we need black businesses, and we should be supporting black businesses. But I think on the other side of the coin is like what we've been talking about on this show, dealing with reparations and dealing with the racial wealth gap. I think that was one of the things we talked about is when you talk about black businesses, we can support them, we can start them, and we should have that, but don't think that that's going to raise us out of the close the racial wealth gap, because it's not going to do it, because blacks even lack the resources, even with businesses. When it was, even stuff, Elizabeth, who was it? Kamala Harris was talking about, you can't, and I think you brought it up in one of the shows, that you can't start a business with the kind of money they talk about, offer and sustain itself and survive.
That was part of her stimulus, one of the black things, her stimulus package was a $60 million loan forgiveness thing for people that have accepted Pell Grants. And if you accept a Pell Grant, it means that you're poor. So, and then part of the other thing was, we'll forgive your student loan if you had a Pell Grant, if you have a business that sustained itself in a struggling community for 3 years. Well, the average black business has started on $35,000 or less. The average white business has started,
and most of them is one person in the business.
And so how are you going to sustain something in the community?
Exactly.
And so thinking
and build wealth,
One of the things is, let's look at, since Alonzo brought it up, Alonzo has a mechanic business. So Alonzo's constantly posting everywhere about doing brakes, changing oil, just what all kinds of stuff, services to vehicles. And so one of the things that he is going to lack, because he's starting this with no capital. The brother is just out here and so, but what he needs is, he needs a shop, he needs all kinds of stuff. He got this brother that owned tow trucks. And so what we have to do is begin to somehow start supporting these brothers doing this type of stuff. If you need a tow, you need to remember the brother that has the tow truck and call that. I don't know, but we need to figure out ways. We need to figure out ways. Absolutely. And so we need to figure out ways to bring these brothers in to be able to support the things that they're doing, because it won't, Alonzo becoming a millionaire will close the wealth gap for his family. It won't do anything. It'll do something for but that is okay for now. Like, I'm all right with black businesses sporadically becoming really successful. We know that overall, there's no way that overall, without reparations, are we ever going to be in a place to be able to sustain ourselves overall, to bring the median wealth gap up. individuals popping up all over the Black community is not going to raise the racial wealth gap in general. It's not going to do that. But I'm just saying, like, that's one Black business, and there's others like that. So join Black San Diego. If you're here, join Black San Diego, because there's every week or every day there's something about another Black business that's there.
And I would just say, you know, if that's what you want to do, as far as, you know, start a Black business, then, you know, educate yourself on that in every aspect. Get all the education information that you need to get so that you can know how to run your business and how it impacts your, you know, a Black business and a Black community, how you build your clientele, and all of that, because it's gonna take organization to really make it grow and really make it expand. I think, you know, one of the things that when we're talking about Black businesses, one of the things when we talk about the Black agenda, right? That's one of the things that we should be pushing, right? And along with reparations. But a lot of time when people think we're talking about reparations, we think that we're only talking about a check, right? But we're also talking about programs. We need programs for young brothers that are trying to start Black businesses, right? You know, without looking at whether they have a criminal record or anything. If they got the skill and they can do this business, then they need to be able to have some type of loan from the bank, right? To be able to, and at a decent interest rate, or just, you know, upfront give it to the brothers, you know, as far as going to be responsible with it. And I'm talking about like grants and things like that. We should have grants, we should have loans for Black agenda. So when we talk about, and I don't want to go all over the place with this, but when we talk about electing, like, for example, a president, and they say, oh, well, you know, I'm gonna open up the door to give more loans to help businesses get started. And so most time when they do that, the only people going to benefit are white people, right? So when we talk about a Black agenda, specifically, what is going to be set aside and designed for Black people when you talk about a Black business,
and just
right?
to be
how much of a grant, how much of a loan,
let's even go,
what bank's going to participate, what capital is going to be involved in this.
Let's go a step further, though, that it can't just be a Black agenda. It has to be a American descendants of slaves.
Thank you, ADOS.
It has to be because what we see here is there are a lot of. See, Kamala Harris is considered Black.
Yeah, but she's a first generation, second generation.
She's a first generation, right? Her parents
came from
immigrated in the 60s to California, Berkeley, to go to Berkeley specifically to become research professors. They came here with money. Her dad is Jamaican. Her mom is Brahmin Indian, the highest caste in India. They came with money, and so their struggle is going to look different. Kamala's struggle don't look like my aunties and the other folks that have been here since slavery or whatever.
Right.
So her struggle is going to look different. And so when we talk about folks that immigrate to the U.S., that have an opportunity to get things that's why you have people turning their nose up at you when they immigrate to the U.S. and they have these businesses that they start with help from the government. But those was all American descendants of slaves that paid the price for you to get those loans and to get that stuff like that. So I think we got to be very specific when we start talking about a Black agenda. We need to reward the Black people that built this economy in America. So let's just be honest about that.
And that's what when I'm talking about it, I should have mentioned that, but that's what I'm talking about. Thank you.
Teamwork,
that's right.
That's what teamwork, brother. That's what teamwork does. We always talking about that when we talk about a Black agenda. We talk about specifically American descendants of slavery is what we're talking about. When we say a Black agenda, we're not talking about Black in general. We're talking about American.
Think about it, because I saw something and I read most of it, but it was just going all over the place. But with I think it was with Elizabeth Warren, and she was talking about what she's going to do for Native Americans, right? And
she considers herself Native.
Exactly, but Indian. And the point is that okay, that's fine, do it or what have you, but why can't you do something specific for Black people and ADOS folks? And that's been the problem, because we do things specific for Jews. And I get attacked for, not saying I'm anti-Semitic, but I get attacked for saying certain things. But when you look at Israel, they get $3 billion over there, right? From America, $3 billion from America. But that's okay. But can't invest anything in the Black communities among ADOS.
Yeah, well, and I just want to say that.
So that's why we got to keep fighting for that and talking about that.
Yeah. So a couple of things, man. Israel has not been perfect And one of the things I love about the scriptures is God shows when his people been acting up.
Right.
So we need to stop this notion that Israel is always doing stuff perfect. Let's get out of here with that. Israel ain't perfect.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not cursing them anyway.
That's what I'm saying. No,
that's what God said.
No, there's
bless those that bless you, curse those that curse you. So
I'm not getting.
But accountability has always been accountability.
There's no question about it. And so my thing is, man, if somebody's wrong, they wrong.
Exactly.
And I haven't been following the whole idea of the Gaza Strip and what's going on. I haven't been in that part. So there's people that can speak on that, and I really can't. But all I'm saying is, man, let's stop it with like you can't be so sensitive about Israel and not be that sensitive about black people.
Exactly, man. That's the point. That's the point.
Stop
right?
It. So just stop it. Like quit with this fake outrage. That's what I can't stand. You so mad about something, and people right here getting shot, and you ain't saying nothing. So young Anthony, Stay Woke Anthony Hawkins, interesting story about how I was told that I knew him. I knew his pops back in the day, but he says we need the gatekeepers to groom us just a tad. A lot of us are raw and speaking from the heart, but we also need to educate ourselves so that while we're speaking from the heart, we're also providing hard facts. Hold on, give me.
He dropped the mic. There's the mic right there.
Let me pick this mic up and drop it. Very true. So we don't need to add nothing.
That's it.
That speaks for itself, man. Brother, very, very true. And man, that's a good word. Let me read that one more time. So let me say it a little louder for the people in the back. We need the gatekeepers to groom us just a tad. A lot of us are raw and speaking from the heart, but we also need to educate ourselves so that while we are speaking from the heart, we are also providing hard facts to our message. Shout out to young Ant. He's working with the Footprints Footprints movement. I wore their shirt the last time we met or whatever.
I gotta get one of those.
Absolutely. I don't know if they make them in real big size. I gotta ask them to make.
Man, I'm losing weight. And watch me by December, bro. I hope folks are still with me on the journey, because I said I did a video and asked folks to join me on the journey of losing weight.
I need to join
because by December I'm hoping to lose about 30 pounds for this year, and so on. So
you did it. We all said it the other day. So there, great word, Anthony. Great word, man. Great word. So Alonzo says she needs to win. Talking about Tasha, Southeast must vote for sure.
You're gonna need more than Southeast for Tasha to win.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the problem when what we was talking about earlier, as far as people supporting and jumping on board, because you have people out there that can really move and get funding in there, because what they look at many times is your funding, your donations, how much money you raise, and things like that. And it shows whether or not you're serious about a campaign or you're not serious about a campaign. And so my thing, and me and Tasha talked about this, and she understands, and that's why I know she's doing that also. And I'm no expert, I don't know all that, but I know from what I've observed is that you got to get on the north of the eight.
There's no question.
And you got to get these folks on board, because if not, like I was sharing with Tasha, when David Alvarez and Faulkner was running, I was with David Alvarez. A lot of other folks, pastors were with Faulkner, but I felt he won those debates, David Alvarez, but he lost. Right. So, you got to get those folks, because I went back and looked at how David Alvarez lost, and he lost because he didn't pull a lot of votes from north of the eight. If you don't pull that, you can't win.
Well, so here's the thing. I mean, here's kind of where I'm at. Like, I think when we look at, people really need to be courageous. Two things I think it's going to take for people to see that Tasha's the right person, right? One of the things I think you're going to need courage.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to go with the people that you think have,
because they raised the most of money and all that kind of stuff.
But we see from Councilmember Montgomery's race, she was outraised. Councilmember Montgomery, come on, man. And so and it's not the same. It's not the same because yes. So it's not the same. But what I'm saying is, principally, you had people that courageously supported Councilmember Montgomery, even though she was outraised, she was out supported. Everybody supported.
When you have the right message to the people, they'll.
So I think it's going to take courage is one of the things, and then it's going to take people really understanding what real leadership is. People need to know the type of leadership that we need, and what Tasha is saying is that what we need is to open up the government. People, if this is a government for the people, by the people, and of the people, then those people need to be able to look inside. Government should be run from a glass office. And so people should always be able to see what's going on. And so that's Tasha's whole thing, is bring people to the table, create these groups of people that can come to the table and talk about what do the people want. That's what the government is supposed to do. The government is supposed to say, what do the people want? And everybody needs to have an equal voice. That's the reason why we have a representative democracy here. We don't have a true democracy. It's not 51-49 you win. It's like everybody has their own sovereign individual voice. And so we represent these folks like Mika going to Congress or whatever to represent a particular group of people. And so when Mika goes to Washington to represent the 51st congressional district, her job is to bring the voice of the people to the Congress or whatever to be able to vote the way the people, her constituents, believe. Tasha's job as a mayor is to run the city and the resources within the city or whatever to take the folks to look at a broad range of people across the city and say, let's look at these different districts and different areas, and let's bring these resources to the places that they need and share and actually show some concern. And let's actually listen to the people that don't have anything, give them a voice. And right now we have big business that's running stuff. People are making decisions based on the money, next moves they want to make. And you need somebody who understands what it feels like to be hungry. And there's people on the campaign trail that talk about they came from poor folks and all that. Stop it. We don't want to get into, I don't want, but so people, Tasha's whole thing is, and I don't want to speak for Tasha because I'm not running her campaign, but I support Tasha 100%. And her thing is, let's open up the gates and let the people in so that we can actually be a government of the people. Let's actually really do that and hear what they have to say. So people are going to have courage, and you have to really understand the value of a people-run government, and that we're better if we do things for each other. So you don't have to know politics to know we need change. This is true. That's what April's saying. That's real. Alonzo says it's up to y'all, the older generation, to make sure she wins. We don't need to know politics to vote her in. This is very true. And I think, like you said, getting the North County vote is important because this isn't like the council district.
Exactly.
I have no clue what a mayor does, but what I do know is she needs to win. Yeah, very true. We must teach our kids the law. I vote Alonzo Harvey put on a workshop on what to do when encountered by the police. You know, I agree wholeheartedly, April. And Alonzo, sorry about that, Alonzo. I think that's true. I think, and this is, I think we should do something to say, hey, you know what? Let's have Alonzo teach a class, promote it, and get him the information that he needs to be able to put on a particular class and allow him to teach it and allow him to talk about that. And absolutely, I think that's good. So I'm down for whatever that looks like. I get it. I agree. I think anytime we see somebody, there's some other young brothers. I've been talking to Stay Woke, Anthony Hawkins, about some of the things that he wants to do too. And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag too soon, but there's some things that he wants to do that we need to support the things that he wants to do as well. And we need to come together and do some of those things. So I'm with it. Let's make that happen. April says the thing that folks want to give, that's the thing, folks want to give credit to everyone and everything but God. Very true. Open Heart Leaders is still accepting mentors. Open Heart Leaders is April's ministry, her business. They do quite a few things at Open Heart Leaders. And if you want, sis, post something in the feed about Open Heart so people can look at what's going on there and see what all you need. She wants mentors for some of the young kids. They do a lot of mental health awareness. They got a sign language class that's either coming up or came already, and she's doing a lot of stuff. So keep your eye on her. Kay Taylor is also, she's running for this second county district, county supervisor spot in the second seat. So what's up to Miss Taylor? She's also a Delta Sigma Theta sorority incorporated. I was just at Howard yesterday, took a picture of that beautiful tree, sent it out there and tagged some of the Deltas that I know. So shout out to the Delta Sigma Theta sorority incorporated. April says we have people putting on programs and run businesses that proclaim to be for the people, and their mental health ain't in order. So there's people who are out here.
Ooh, man, that's a tough one right there, because that's true. Starting
businesses and doing stuff that ain't really prepared to be able to do that. And so, but here's the thing though, man, and this is again, like, this is where we have to take people people have to trust folks in the community enough that if I come to you and say, hey, Bishop, I don't think you should be doing that right now, man, and here's why, let's talk. Or even before that happens, we should be talking about, hey, I want to do this. So if you notice anything I'm ever going to do, I'll run it by you. You can ask Tasha and them. I call them. My go-to folks to ask questions to is like you. Absolutely. Yeah. I go to Tasha, go to Layla, and just, hey, this is something I'm thinking about. What do you think about this? And so I believe in that. I believe we need to have this, in the scripture talks about, you just said it, in the multitude of counsel, there's safety. So we need to have people to be able to say, hey, I think you should stop. You need to probably not do that. So, for real. Youth centers for the kids and teens, job training for young adults, maybe start a business of some kind. That's something you talked about. This is Stay Woke. Young Anthony just talked about it. We need to have youth centers. You probably you may not be able to, but he says we need to have youth centers, and I believe that. I agree. We need to do that, and we need to have an incubator. Yeah. You know, it's interesting. Jacob Center has a business incubator in their thing, and I wonder what the demographics looks like in that thing, and I wonder what it looks like in there. We need to have an incubator for young Black businesses, and we need to. This is why, if we have reparations, one of the things that we can do is have the
programs for that,
right?
Yeah.
So people, the reason why the dominant culture is able to start businesses and run them is not because they're smarter than everybody. It's because they have enough money to fail long enough to be successful. So if we had that same opportunity, we do good. I believe that. People out there giving folks money to run programs the way they want you to run it. That's why most of us real organizations built on principles, morals, and value miss out, because we won't bend, and you definitely can't break us. So watch how money makes some folks move, or shall I say not move, while those of us broke is moving mountain with God's help. So this is another one of them gatekeeper situations, man. I think.
Man, gatekeepers don't have no power. I don't even know why we focus so much on them, because they don't really, they're irrelevant, if you ask me. And I know people get mad at it. You need gatekeepers, but I think that you need the right kind of gatekeepers. You don't have the right kind of gatekeepers, they're really irrelevant. They don't have no power. They don't have no pull. And sometimes people think because you have access to power, you have real power. That don't mean you have real power, because you have access to power. And so my thing is that, when you talk about whatever, when moving a Black agenda, and whatever it is, whatever area you want to move in, whether it's an organization or whatever you want to do, we as Black people have to stand together in our votes, right? And I'm not just talking about city senate, even though city senate should. I'm talking about on a nationwide level. And remember, I brought this up before, when you even talk about the politics with the president, 53% of Black people are supporting Biden, right? And it might have gone up, who knows? But that's a problem because of the way he thinks, the way he look at things, right? So even when you talk about, you take that nationally and bring it locally in what we're dealing with here in our own city and so on, what I have seen as far as the funding and grants and things like that, it's not even so much the gatekeeper saying, hey, this person get that person. It's more so, as I think it was her that was saying it, is more so these people compromising themselves, right? And compromising their organization. They have been and bow and what you call it, brown nose and kiss butt to get what they want. They pacify these, whoever has control of the funding, and try to, put these little, give them these, what you call those things, op photos or whatever you want to call it, photo ops and all that kind of stuff to make it look, like, hey, we're together, we're, and so on, and fooling people, but you're not really doing anything that's going to make a difference. And you take a little bit and post it, make, how you can make things seem as though it's bigger than what it is, larger than life on social media, but it's really not that large. And you know what I mean? And so I think a lot of times it's folks are getting what they want because they're deceiving people and kissing butt of the funders, kissing up to the funders and giving them what they want, and like, who's saying it? Was that April? Who was saying that?
April.
Yeah, and so a lot of times when you have an organization that say, hey, this is how we move, this is how we roll, these are our principles, this is where we stand, this kind of work that we're doing, and we're not just going to take money and do whatever you want us to do. This is how we're going to do it, and you're not going to control us. We're going to control it. Otherwise, take your money and go. And so when you take a stand like that, a lot of times people ain't going to do it. I mean, even when you look at from the chief of police to the mayor and on down to city council, these people will try to control you. when they give you funding or work with you, right? In anything that you do. And I think the people have to come together to let them know. The community has to come together and be the power brokers, be the ones that's where the power is, to let the police, let the mayor, let the city council or the county board of supervisors know this is what we want in our community. And we want it now. We ain't playing around. Then you'll get it. Otherwise, these little jokers going to continue to manipulate and play games, act like they're doing something, and get this little funny because they kiss some butt.
I think what has to happen when you were talking, it reminded me of just and tell me what you think. But I think a lot of it is just people have to risk. You ever like went to go do maybe like a shot, taking a shot or something, right? You're gonna get a shot, and you just you're like oh I can't, and you tense up, and then then you realize it really wasn't that bad.
Right,
what
right,
you're doing.
right.
And so I think that's how people that are going to go against the system. I think what happens is people have gotten comfortable being cowards, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to be a coward. It's easy to have somebody tell you what to do. It's easy to have somebody tell you how to go, where to stand, and you don't have to accept responsibility. Mm-hmm. It hurts to be ruggedly individualistic. And I tell people about being a Christian. For me, being a Christian is like driving the speed limit on the freeway. Mm-hmm. You ever drove the speed limit? Oh, yeah, I don't want to incriminate you. Don't worry.
I drive over the speed limit. Yeah, I break the law.
Here's the thing. Imagine if you drive 65 on the freeway. People coming all up on the back of you, like want you to do something, get out the way, and you're like, I'm following the rules, and then they pass by you and flip you the bird because you're doing what's right, and so. But I think you have to be a specific kind of person to not let the people behind you make you do things that you don't want to do. Right, and so I think that's what happens in our communities, that you got the people who take these grants at the expense of the people are really cowards, right? And they're really chumps, and they don't really want to. They don't want to go against the grain because of how it's going to make them feel. And so you have somebody, and I bring up someone like Alonzo, or someone like Tasha, you know what I mean, or someone like Mika, or somebody that actually has the courage to go against the system. And then what happens is, like with the Apostle Paul did something that was against the grain. He suffered for it, ended up in prison. But what he said is that when people saw him being chastised for doing what's right, it actually emboldened people. And so if we would and I want to encourage those people who are going against the grain right now to keep going, because it don't look like people are watching you, but people are watching. And I think that this is what I'm saying. There's something that seems to be happening in the Southeast it's encouraging people.
Just do it respectfully and do it in love.
Of course.
Do it respectfully, do it in love. Hold to your principles. You don't have to compromise for nobody. You can be firm and stand firm on what you do. But I think a lot of times what ends up happening and what messes us up many times is that, it's kind of like, I'm not going to mention names or anything like that, but it's kind of like when you like myself and I don't know about you, but like me, if I'm, and I know Tasha's with me on this, if she's still on, is that, you'll go somewhere and you'll go, you might be in a rally with somebody, say, hey, we want to protest against, this person get killed by the police, whatever. So let's do this, and you get out and then you have people getting out this, and I know it might be some people on there that do that, but then they said, F the police doing it. I was like, well, hey, wait, man, I don't roll like that, man. I understand your pain. I know where you're coming from. But you got to remember that, if we come in a group, that make it seem like I'm saying the same thing and I don't roll like that. Well, but so we got to, when we do things, we got to be organized, and we have to understand that each other and know how we roll with each other so we can respect that when we're together. Now, if that's what you want to do, get your little group or crew or whatever, go do that. But when we all come together, we got to roll a certain way, because you have different people from different walks of life and backgrounds and things like that. And that's all about respect. That's all about rolling with show some dignity in yourself. But just a little bit of pushback to that, like a little bit. And I agree with what you're saying. But what I think is happening is that the dominant culture we're the only ones that get held to that standard. We're not a monolith in the Black community. You got all kinds of people that have all kinds of different experiences with people. And so, but that standard can't just be put on the Black community. We're going to have people in our community because we are monolithic that have different experiences. And so the only thing I get what you're saying. I have some pushback too. I get what you're saying. But what I'm saying is that, so I think as a community, I understand that we are enforcing
a code. There are people that don't mess with the police for various reasons, and there are people that don't. And I think inside of our community, we need to remember that because of the system that we have right now that needs to change, we have to react a certain way. We need to be aware of how our actions affect those people in our community that's moving. And I think
especially when you're trying to frame a narrative a certain way, man, because you can be at a rally and or a press conference, and then you have some person stand up, F the police, kill them, F them. And this is going national news, and that makes it seem like that's what we about, and that's how we roll. And it's like, well, no, that's not the message that we're trying to get out. We're trying to hold these people accountable for what they've done. And the first thing they're going to think is that, you have the people that hate the police and want to kill the police and things like that. And that put a bad, it's kind of like living up to the stereotype of what the dominant culture already says about us. Yeah. Not that we're concerned about what they're saying, but we want to control the narrative. Well, and if you're going to control the narrative, you got to roll a certain way if you want that narrative to get out to the broad audience, because it's the same thing when you talk about politics and things like that. And that's one of the things that when I talk with folks who run for office and things like that, is when you're trying to frame a narrative or say something, Black folks, we understand where you're coming from and things like that. But when you're trying to reach a broader audience to have impact on a system and so on, then you got to have language and a narrative that's going to be able to connect with them, where they can get with that and roll with you on that, so that you can bring change. Because if you think that your 5 or 6 people going to bring change, then go ahead and do that and see how far you get with that. But if you really want to impact the system with power and with loud voices and so on, you got to be able to frame a narrative that's broad enough for people to be able to join in and come in on it. And the same like when you're running for office or anything, because one thing I always say is that you gotta launch deeper than just saying things that connect with Southeast. You got to connect with the whole city of San Diego. You got to connect with this person sitting up on North that never probably been around a Black person, to be able to connect with you to say, hey, I think I can vote for that person. You know what I mean? That's the kind of narrative that you got to frame. And I'm just saying that why are we out there protesting if we're not trying to bring about a change? If you want a revolution or war, then go on and do your thing.
So I think I agree. I just think that one of the things that we have to do if we're going to grow as a community and as people, we have to get used to it. See, colonizers got people not going to like a colonizer will say, we don't care what the leader of this organization, we gonna just dismiss you, summarily dismiss you no matter what.
And that's what we have
to divorce ourselves from that mentality and say, let me actually go to, if you see something happening in another part of the country, you should call the people in that area and say, hey, what actually happened? Because we know that the media frames a particular narrative to steer people. And so if you're the type of person who watches something and doesn't watch the whole thing, you just watch it myopically or whatever, and you form an opinion on it, then get out of here. Like, you worthless to the cause anyway.
But that's how it goes.
That's because we inherently, because we were born and raised in a colonistic system or whatever, that we adopt the ways of the colonizer without even knowing it. And so we have to be willing to say, I'm not going to roll like this. And we have access to the people that are saying things here. So in San Diego, there's no excuse. So we got to get used to going to the organizations and asking these people, what did you actually mean? What is the message that you're actually trying to talk about? Because we know that there's no news outlet that's going to tell the story exactly the way that they want it. Of course not. So we got to stop doing that.
So, like we call it with the new media, So this is the new media.
And I think we just got to time out for that. That's what I'm talking about. Where we can't let this colonizing mentality just continue to run roughshod through our community and dictate how we're going to move amongst each other, because it's not right. It's just not right. So I'm against it. So let me just a couple of extra comments, and we can roll. Tasha says, I need people power. I need people to register and vote all over this city.
That's right.
We will open government, or we will open government. I will decriminalize the poor. We will have fiscal oversight. I am the mayor already, doing the work to force change alongside of all you over the city. Very true. Again, you go to some of these conversations and you that Tasha has all over the city with these particular and people are. I actually
just got to get the message out.
I actually sat and watched them. I represented her and watched them count votes. And don't get it twisted. People ain't dismissing Tasha. Right. They not dismissing. Don't get it twisted. People not dismissing her. We didn't got disconnected.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Let me see. We're still on here, trying to reconnect. We still here.
Well, yeah, they're not gonna be able to see us, I don't think.
on that part.
Are we trying to redo the poor wireless connection in my video pile? So that's
Uh-oh.
not good. Maybe that's time for us to
What time is
move. Stop.
it? See, y'all talking too much.
Man,
Wi-Fi said, I'm out of here. I think it's something popping. I don't know. It never went off on my phone.
Did it go off?
I don't-
Are y'all able to still see us? Give me a thumbs up if you see us.
Good idea.
See
How many minutes delay is it?
Hey, can y'all still see us?
Yeah,
by
see,
chance?
you see right there. That's live.
Okay, cool. All right, good.
Yeah.
Well, it's saying it's time. I don't know what that's
I don't
all
know
about.
what
But
that
anyway,
is.
we gonna. But so Tasha's, they not dismissing Tasha on here. That's for sure. Don't get that twisted. They're not dismissing her. She is very much a viable candidate right now. They understand that, and so
Oh, there. No, now it's okay.
don't dismiss her. You know what I'm saying? Don't dismiss her. So let's see here real quick. No more crabs in the barrel, she says. Tasha said people are getting $20,000 checks. I'm creating line items on our city budget. I will saturate communities with wraparound services. I will make sure we have free food zones. I will move to have rent control with owner subsidies. I will reduce barriers to employment in our city. I have a plan to make sure money circulates back into the city so we keep services going regardless of what the state or federal government do. There we go. April says some of us are moving in silence.
I was just reading that.
Yeah. And executing out loud. I'm a mover and shaker. Talk is cheap. When you ain't got a check, movement to sign behind it. Amen.
Mhm.
There we go. We must get back to supporting our Black media outlets. I agree.
Mhm.
So I guess ultimately, and then we're at I think we're over our time. And it's weird. This thing is we got people still joining, and this thing is still saying we're trying to
Yeah, right here, still showing that we're on.
yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I think we're over our hour, but anyway, man. Ultimately, it's been a cool little freestyle. We've been all over the place, man.
Yeah,
What was you gonna say?
but we didn't. Oh, did we? We touched on Jay-Z.
We didn't touch on it. It's too late. It's over.
That'd be another 30 minutes up.
Maybe what we'll do this week, we'll get together. We'll do something over the phone. We can try that phone thing, and that way we can come in on little topics throughout the week as well.
Okay.
So we'll talk about Jay-Z this week. We'll do our phone thing. Yeah, we'll do the phone thing in the midweek. But thank you all for joining with us. It's been real cool. Shout out to everybody that hung out this whole time. We really appreciate y'all. We love you. It's always a pleasure to be able to speak our piece.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And, Lord willing, we'll see you all.
Keep God first.
No matter what. All right. Peace.